Let's get started.
Happy Halloween, everybody.
Hi, guys. Welcome to StreamGeeks. Happy Halloween.
This is episode 14 on October 31st. So we've been through 14 weeks, maybe 15. We might have skipped one or two. But almost, 5 months of streaming?
Yeah, for StreamGeeks specifically, but that doesn't speak to the amount of time that we've been streaming in general. Paul specifically, this is his 2-year anniversary of live streaming.
This is a little bit of a special day because my very first live stream ever, which we're going to show today, was a live stream with my laptop. I was using a USB PTZ optics camera. I was using a green screen. And the problem with my laptop, which I'll get into the story if we have enough time, is that I wasn't using my graphics card. I was making vMix look bad. Martin Sinclair later told me, if you're going to produce live streams like this, can you please at least enable your graphics card so vMix doesn't look poorly? But we ended up creating a great relationship throughout the process, but it was really bad. I mean, I made every mistake in the book. Some of them are very clearly bad mistakes. So we'll show that little clip, and since we know people are listening on the podcast, we've been having a great viewership on the podcast. We'll explain it, so we're not just showing video clips and leaving you guys hanging on the on-demand podcast. But it's been 2 years, and so we've got 22 different things that we think made a big difference.
Yeah, so you started from scratch. Things were rough, but that really speaks to all of you out there that are beginning to build your show and your live stream, that you can take it from nothing and no experience and build it to a high-quality professional stream. You're constantly learning. We are still learning. And we're going to share the roadmap with you guys today.
Yes, so I mean, I've said this before, but if you're just tuning in, you don't miss a year's worth of live streaming. So 2 years worth of live streaming on multiple channels. We've had over 2 million views.
How do you feel that has helped?
It's pretty crazy. I mean, Tess, as much as I know, you do have to have a certain personality to do well on live streaming and get out there. So if you're behind the camera, maybe that's where you need to be. If you're the producer, if you're, the writer, there's so many different pieces of the puzzle that everyone can be involved. But I think that both Tess and I have decided that we're pretty good on camera. So
have we?
Well, we've developed the ability to have a conversation, and I think over 2 years, I was really scared, and my one co-host, Patrick Kirby, I had to pull him on, and he literally, after 15 episodes, was like, I'm not doing this anymore.
Yeah.
So
I can tell you there is the potential to learn and to get more comfortable on camera over time, though. It's definitely an adjustment. It's an acquired taste almost. And eventually you forget all about it, and it ends up being really fun, and you're able to open up a little bit. Especially when there's not other people in the room to watch you. With live streaming, you can really kind of be yourself, especially if you're a solo host as well. So it's an interesting topic there.
Yeah, so the very first show ever was on YouTube. This is before
it was on Halloween.
It was on Halloween, before we knew how to live stream to YouTube and Facebook. This is before Facebook even had live streaming. This is October 31st, 2015. So I'm going to walk you through a little clip here. I don't even want to play the audio because the audio was so bad, and I will explain why.
That's part of the humor of it, though.
All right, we'll play a little clip from it.
It's fun.
It should be right here at the bottom. And actually, here it is here. It was so bad. The intro was bad. The outro was bad. And the funny thing about this
At least you had an
show,
intro and an outro, Paul. I mean, you didn't really start from bare basics.
That audio is kicking, so I'm going to hold it off for just a sec. So one of the things that makes me feel better is that only 231 people watched this show.
You're actually happy at that.
So I'm actually happy that not that many people saw this because of how bad it was. And that's actually, see, look, you can, for the people on the podcast that aren't seeing this, you see these blips of video on the right and left side.
Yeah.
So the layers just weren't, the graphics processor just wasn't processing it properly.
Almost looks like it's part of the outro, though.
And then we've got this little
you did a Halloween virtual
set. We didn't know how to tune the cameras properly. We didn't know. And it's also. Oh, we got her. Tess just played a little clip of the blaring, peaking audio that was coming through here. And
At first,
I'll tell you what happened to me,
Okay,
right? So
I'm a
I
little-
had
yeah.
the microphone on. We were using a conference pod. You can see on the table here, we've got a little skull. And so basically we had the worst conferencing microphone possible. Not the worst ever, but it wasn't very good for what we're doing here. And the background clip, so I have a green screen, right? Which we don't even use green screens anymore because I think it is true that if you can get away from not using it, you're better off.
we have had greater. What's the
You
word
can
I'm
do
looking
so many
for?
more different
Not
camera
acceptance,
angles and
but people really appreciate
reaction to
the real set.
But what happened in my very first live stream before I knew how to do everything in vMix is that the video clips, when they transition into live, they automatically play the audio. And the background to my green screen had audio attached to it. So I
Oh,
didn't even know.
no.
I'm talking, and there's like 35 seconds of just loud thunder and lightning and people screaming in the intro of my very first live stream.
Yeah, I can tell you with my first live stream, audio was my major problem too. I was hearing double, and I couldn't figure out why. So you
Audio's the
really,
tricky
you really
part,
learn a
so.
lot. But I gotta give it to you. You were already using green screens and virtual sets. It was Halloween, so you got in the spirit. You chose a theme
Yeah, we came
that
out
people would
guns
relate
blazing.
to. It was Halloween. He had a skull prop. I mean, that's not too bad for your first go at it. Seriously.
Yeah, we really did kind of go out. And that was Patrick Kirby, who only lasted about, I'm going to say 10 shows until I finally had to start interviewing him at his desk. He wouldn't
was
even
like,
come into the
"I'm
studio
done."
because of how, camera shy he was.
Is
But
that when you realized that you needed a co-host?
that was when we realized we definitely needed a co-host. And going down, Tess, you come in here on like bullet point 6. So before Tess was here, NDI was introduced in 2016. We didn't really do too much for us. We were playing around with vMix and TriCasters and things, seeing what it could do. Weren't doing too much with it, but one big major change for us in our live streaming is when Tom Sinclair from Eastern Shore Broadcasting built us our first custom PC, and I actually have a little video of it.
I had to play a
at the
sound
bottom
effect
here,
for
Michael.
that.
Thank you, because it was a great, and we still use it to this day. We've changed it around. No, actually, let me see if maybe I didn't pull it in. Let me just grab it. But I want to show this quick little video clip of it because Tom did such a great job for us. And, oh, there it is. Okay, cool. So I did grab it. So
Oh,
this is the PC that Tom built us. We still use it to this day. A huge
game changer.
4RU rack unit PC. Custom built for our needs at the time, which our needs have changed. So over the past 2 years, our needs have changed considerably. We had him build this with 8 discrete USB 3.0 ports because we thought, hey, we can use that with anything, right? We can have frame grabbers, we can have USB cameras, we can have anything we need, and each one of those 8 USB 3.0 ports all have a discrete USB 3.0 chipset. So we thought, hey, we could throw anything at this. And then we realized, like every broadcast professional knows, you probably want to use HD-SDI for your inputs. And today, those 2 PCIe slots there with the USB 3s there, which even Tom was telling us at the time, are you sure you want to do this? We're so sure that that's what we wanted. But those now feature Magewell 4-port HD-SDI PCIe cards, which we use all 8 of our cameras. So we have 8 cameras in our studio now, and it makes a big difference, a huge difference, not dealing with all those dongles and everything. So that was a big setup. In July of 2016, Facebook Live was started. And then in April
Crazy.
of
This is all within 2 years.
This is all within 2 years. And then
Blown away.
April of 2016, this is probably before you even knew what vMix was, vMix released PTZ pan-tilt zoom camera controls for our cameras
That must have been huge.
at the 2016 NAB show. It was bigger than people realized. A lot of times these things take, like NDI was released at that same year.
That is certainly good for PTZ optics.
Before I think NDI, people were even using it. So all of that happened, and then in January of 2017, there was a huge storm in the office called Tess Protesto. And Tess started. So
That should have been the witch. Oh,
witch,
I
yeah.
played the werewolf. That should have been the witch.
no, it's okay. Yeah, that should have been the witch. But that's when Tess started, and right away we knew at that point that was about a little that was only like 3 or 4 months into live. Man, it was about a year into live streaming at that point. Yeah, so I had been live streaming for a little bit over a year and a half at that point, a year and 2 or 3 months. And so we knew it was a big deal. And so we took Tess's tastes and creativity to build this set. And so by February, you want to tell us about like kind of give us your, initial reactions of coming here.
Well, I didn't know I was going to be on the live show when I interviewed. I thought there was just like a marketing position.
I thought we put it in the job description.
You did say has to be comfortable on camera, but I didn't realize what I was walking into. But I'm so glad I did because I freaking love it. So with the set, you were just kind of like, you know what? I think we need a physical set. Yeah. Do you want to take this on? And I was like, sure, why not? And so basically we just did everything off Pinterest, which we talked about a lot.
We've talked about that before. Using
Luckily,
Pinterest.
it turned out great. And my first appearance on the live show was right here in this set. I did a couple recorded videos with you for like a Udemy course, but my first time on the live show was in the new set. So we introduced the new set and we introduced myself on the show, which we'll show you guys in a clip in a little bit.
Yeah, so we'll show Tess's first live show that she was on, and that was right after we built the set. And then, Tess is even going on to host her own live show solo without even Michael's help once or twice as well. So we have that on our list. And then, with at this point in my career of live streaming, it was always YouTube only.
Yes.
I would stream to YouTube. That's all I would do. I did 1080p. And I remember in this time in 2015, 2016, when people were telling me, why are you live streaming in 1080p? You might as well just do it in 720. It looks a lot smoother, a lot better. I was trying to, that was pushing the limits back then, doing 1080. Now we do 2 1080 live streams to YouTube and Facebook. And Tess really took on Facebook for us. We really didn't have a whole lot of anything going on Facebook at all. And in the beginning, I wasn't sure if live streaming to Facebook was even a good idea. It was weird. Now it's like so integral to what we do.
It's so integral to what we do. And it also has to do with creating contacts, which Facebook helps a lot with that, and advertising our content. It's so important to have original content on Facebook because they appreciate that more, and your images, videos, content will be pushed if you do have that original content. So that's why we wanted to be streaming to Facebook. And also we discovered, and we'll talk about it later, the use of user group, and it's so beneficial for us as well.
Yeah, the user group was so important to us that we actually put a whole thing on here. So February we had our Real Studio installed, and then March of 2017, that's when vMix Call was introduced with vMix 19. And
that was big.
That was really big.
We were trying to we were using Zoom, virtual audio cables, and all this conundrum. And so vMix Call really added a convenient feature for us.
Before that, and as many of you may realize, but many of you may not, is that you could basically take a desktop capture on a secondary monitor of Zoom, route a virtual audio cable as selected as the speaker coming back into vMix, and it was a big headache. And it did give you some interesting things, and that's really what that process was so exciting to me when I first started live streaming. I was like, wow.
Well, it's awesome.
We can have people just join the live show from anywhere in the world and then be part of the live stream. And that whole thought process was actually really exciting for a lot of people. And from day one, from my very first live stream, we were always hosting everything through a Zoom call.
Yeah.
And so vMix Call was just like, oh my gosh, I don't need to worry about 5 extra steps every time I live stream.
Yeah.
It was great.
Though we have fallen back to the Zoom call in some circumstances. So it is still reliable for us at times.
Yeah, if there's low bandwidth,
really
it's really good for that.
Yeah.
And if you need to have 50 people or something, for some, that's a rare reason, but maybe, there's reasons still. Then in May of 2017, and World of Live Streaming still does today, use Zoom.
Now that they're going to be vMix resellers, I wonder if they'll just try and use...
I wonder if they'll change that.
Well, it depends on what version they have and how many callers they can have in. What is the max with video calls for vMix?
Either 8 or 9.
8 or 9.
Yeah.
Okay, because they do host a lot of guests on their shows.
Zach is saying set looks awesome. Thank you so much. That's Zach Flanagan from Phoenix Audio. Now I got it. Why this broadcast feels off. You haven't changed the normal time from daylight savings time, and we have done so here in Europe. Oh, yeah, we haven't hit daylight savings time yet here. And that's a live comment from Andreas. So in May of 2017, we hosted the world's first 2017 Streaming Awards.
That was really fun. That was our first opportunity to invite guests into our office and into our studio and host a live studio audience. It was so much fun.
Yeah, I mean, that was interesting because we had never had a live studio audience.
That, from a hosting perspective,
that
was
throws a curveball
scary.
in there.
That was scary. It's a lot easier if you're a live streamer, you know this probably, to speak behind the camera in a private room than in public on stage, with a live audience.
It was quite interesting because for that show, we did have a lot of video clips that needed to be played. We had like pre-rendered Adobe After Effects files that would show the nominations and the nominees, just like a regular award show. But during those times when the video clips were being played, I was actually talking to the crowd, saying, hey guys, you can, like, it was almost like a live demonstration of a vMix system, which is, I think a lot of people came. Kyle Gunderman, who actually spent some time with us, actually won an award.
Yeah, for Griswold Elementary School's live stream. What was really important from a marketing perspective for the streaming awards, for you StreamGeeks out there, it was a great way to build our community because the nominees then got their own communities behind voting for them and whatnot, and hence extended our reach.
Yes.
So that was really a great, successful campaign for us.
Yeah, that was a major step for us on Facebook. That for some reason we decided to do an exclusive Facebook stream for that, and we got 12,000 views the first day.
It was outrageous.
Or maybe it was 5,000.
Awesome.
I can't remember.
I don't
but
remember the number.
We've never gotten that many views before. So there is a lot of power to pushing everyone to Facebook. Some people were upset. They were like, "Oh, I don't want to do Facebook." We ended up uploading it to YouTube later, but that was a major step for us. And then more on the techie side, this is the point in May of 2017 where we replaced all those USB 3.0 inputs and replaced them with HD-SDI Magewell 3G SDI frame grabbers for the cameras. So that was a little techie update. And then in June of 2017, this is when we started multicasting and streaming to Facebook and YouTube at the same time.
I forgot that only happened just a few months ago.
Yeah, it really did. And that was using NDI. So at that point, this is before vMix 20. Remember, vMix 20 only came out a month ago or two maybe.
Something.
And now with vMix 20, you can stream to 3 different destinations from a single computer. But before that, what we would do is Tess would take the output of vMix via NDI to her vMix, and then remember, you would stream to Facebook with your laptop.
Yeah.
And that was interesting because then Tess had her own little mix.
I could put up a quick overlay if I wanted to make.
In fact, speaking of Facebook, let's do our Facebook Live reaction question.
Cara L or Indiana Jones?
So give me a heart if you like Indiana Jones, or if you like Supergirl, give Tess the ha-ha. And those are the little funny things on Facebook Live that you can do that just boost engagement. It's the biggest live streaming platform in the world today. So I'm so glad you convinced us.
12x?
Yes.
12x SDI overhead camera, John Cooney.
Yep, we'll show that in a little bit. In fact, we could even zoom into it if you'd like. But that was that. And then we started multicasting from vMix once vMix 20 came out. And this is when Tess had the bright idea. And I will have to give credit to the Streaming Idiots group. We were part of the Streaming Idiots group.
Yes.
We loved it so much that we were like, we should start a group for the PTZ Optics users.
Yeah, I really, to be honest, didn't know that it would be so valuable for us. But that's really the main place that I focus my Facebook posts to. That's the hub of our community. We are able to gather email addresses from it, which is an integral part of marketing your live show. So it's really important for us from a marketing standpoint. We can also do a lot of listening in the user groups to your needs, your questions, and also a lot of content that you guys are sharing with us. that we found to be really valuable. So the user group was a huge stepping stone for us.
Oh my gosh, it was so important. Looks like everyone's voting for you, Tess, on the Supergirl outfit. Congratulations.
That's because they'll pick on Paul.
Yeah, that's all right.
Don't take it too personally.
Everyone says the set looks awesome and they like your setup, so that's okay.
I don't know, because I really did like your wire lasso.
The wire lasso did come out pretty good.
That was pretty cool.
So once we got the Facebook user group up and running in July of 2017 was actually our very first StreamGeeks episode. So you can see quite a bit happened before we really even started StreamGeeks.
Yeah, we felt the need to create a place where we could be sort of off the cuff, talk about behind the scenes, a lot of marketing and branding pointers for you guys on how to grow your live show. We wanted to do more of a passion project. That wasn't necessarily selling anything. So that's really how we got into StreamGeeks and how we're talking to you now.
So that was fun. And then in August of 2017, we added the Z cams. I don't know if we can pull those up, Michael, but these really add a lot of, it's just the side talent and then the over-the-shoulder shot. Give me the over-the-shoulder shot, input 1, which is this one here. So this camera was one of the first ones, and we got an explosive reaction from these cameras. I hope they look good. I hope that the details are good. We have a little bit of an interesting lighting scenario here because it's a lot of red. But when we started talking about these cameras, over 25% of all of our million plus views come from this camera, or come from a video about this camera. And then Tess has her own over here, as you can see. And there's Tess's little...
These cameras were a game changer for us. First off, we talked about the significance of adding multiple cameras to your live stream and how it really brings up your production value. People found that really useful, sold a bunch of cameras via doing it. More proof that live streaming video content can bring you sales. You're also what we do with PTC Optics is also showing, the quality of our products, and it makes perfect sense for us, but it makes sense for a lot of other businesses as well.
It was an interesting time when we added these cameras. It added some
This camera
depth.
looks dark, actually.
This camera looks a little dark.
We're shady today. We did turn off some studio lights. We just wanted to be in the Halloween vibe. So I should have took a second look at that.
We changed the lights around a little bit, and just to, we're playing with things. So those are little dark and creepy cams, but
creeper cams.
That's what we should call them. We could probably sell a ton of them that way. Just kidding, but no, that would not help at all.
No.
So throughout this whole process, before we add Facebook ads streaming, okay, so Facebook in August of 2017, Facebook adds streaming to groups.
Love that.
We haven't done a lot of it though.
Haven't done too much of it, but that's where I like to do my selfie streams. Quick behind the scenes while I'm in the office, or when I want to bother Paul and he's like, get out of my face. That's when I like to stream to the user group.
Yeah, streaming to the user groups is
testing.
Really, especially if
I'm
you
like, hey guys, saw this
group.
New feature. What do you think? I go to the user group.
Yeah, and so we can stream directly to the group without having to go public on a page or a YouTube channel. So that was a really cool feature.
You can give exclusive content to your group members that way, exclusive live streams.
And that's what most group members now who are managing these larger groups are saying. They're saying, if you're going to create content, create it exclusive for the group. And so that way when people comment, this is an exclusive, experience, a little bit more enhanced than like a public. Because like YouTube just
more personal.
Has no idea how to do social media. Facebook's killing them.
Well, yeah. The
So,
platform's a lot different.
And the groups are a perfect example of how different these
We talked about
platforms
this with our analytics show as well. For those of you wondering why multicast, why stream to Facebook and YouTube at the same time. Well, if you already have grown a community on YouTube via recorded content maybe, or you just have grown a successful channel on YouTube, it's a great place to live stream. But for us, Facebook live streaming is very useful for boosting and advertising the on-demand version of our content, as well as just brand recognition through news feeds and whatnot. So that's why we like to do both.
Yeah, and throughout this whole process of Facebook and YouTube. Specifically, a lot on Facebook. We've been advertising our posts, right? We've been advertising our videos, and we do that. We talked a lot about it in our last show, so I won't talk about it too much. But we're advertising to specific groups that we think will find this information helpful. Facebook has a great way of doing that, so it's really been a big boost.
StreamGeeks is where we can talk about our little tricks.
Yeah. Well, this is where we can really kind of dig into the way we have tried to be successful and where we've found success.
Hopefully, these things will work for you too.
So in September of 2017, Michael started. Michael's here. Let's see. I guess you can see him on this shot. Yeah, here's Michael. And he doesn't have a microphone. We could give him a microphone because...
You guys have seen him because he's already co-hosted with me a bunch of times, and he's already kicking butt at vMix.
Kicking butt at vMix. Doing all of the switching. And if you guys have watched the show, I'm guessing you're seeing the difference. You're seeing the close-ups, which we never would be able to do. Although, I will say vMix does have pan-tilt zoom control, so we probably could have. But I think that we're more focused.
Exactly.
And we have a lot more, and that's the way shows grow, So, Wirecast introduced Rendezvous, which is their live streaming or video conferencing platform.
Yeah, I think that's going to be really big for them, and for all you Mac users, you're going to love that.
The next thing was in September of 2017.
Tally lights.
We got our tally lights.
Oh, whoops, sorry.
So you guys probably know what these are. Here's one right behind me right here. They're just these little lights, and this is how Tess and I, without even having to talk to Michael, Michael, if you just hit the over the shoulder without going to it, see this little green light here? That means preview. And then if you go to it, Mike, now it's red. So all we have to do is look at these lights, and we know where Mike is planning to go on his next shot, or where it is currently. Yeah. So before we had Mike, and we used to just have the cameras going on a rotation, which is a little crazy.
If you're going to have the multiple cameras,
you got to have the
You got to have tally lights.
Yeah. So that was a big step forward for us.
Couple product announcements.
Yeah, a couple things. The Gen 2 IP joystick, which is what Michael's using right now. I don't know if you could show them that, Mike, on the corner, the ceiling cam maybe. You could use that one. You could use that cam, or you could use the corner ceiling. But yeah, that's perfect. Look at that. So I wanted to just show this because this is something that is a pretty big deal for us. It makes it so much easier. So all of our cameras are networked, and all of our cameras have IP addresses. So Mike can go ahead and switch cams 1, 2, 3, 4. We added those hot swaps, and without having, all he needs is one Ethernet cable.
Yeah. So
the daisy chaining and all the other RS-232 options were difficult for us. To have everything connected over IP was really nice.
Super convenient. One of the biggest things for us that happened this year and that we were able to distribute, market via live streaming is NDI cameras. Yes,
we're really excited about the NDI cameras. They're coming out very, very soon with the firmware update for everyone who has the cameras currently. There's so many options. We're getting reinvigorated about it because it's coming so soon. The engineers are telling us they're just buttoning up the last things. So
we're getting close.
Talking more about it soon. We kind of avoided it for a little while, but it's one of the most exciting things happening in the industry. We don't have time to review it all right now, but that was a big thing for us. And then today, it's the 2-year anniversary.
That leads us to our 2-year anniversary. Your 2-year anniversary. In January will be my 1-year anniversary.
Yes, we'll have to do an anniversary show for your first show.
Okay,
for
like
1
some
year of
balloons
streaming
or
for
something.
Yeah.
So those are sort of the main points that have happened in these past 2 years that we think are integral in growing our show to what it is today. Some things for you to look back on for your own show. Pull some of our ideas from that list and use it for yourself. Hopefully, it helps you. Now we got to show our mess ups.
All right, so we've got a little blooper reel here, and then we'll hopefully breeze through the segments. But there's a little blooper reel. See, it says 46th anniversary. And then I was going to briefly show our new audio
setup. Worst thing I have to say before we play this that probably has happened to us, it's hard to explain on the first video, but when we had Andrew Cross from NewTek on our show, biggest announcement of the year that we were going to have NDI in our cameras, really important guest, and we were having technical difficulties. So we're going to show you the aftermath of that and then a couple other funny bloopers as well. All right.
Welcome to PTZ Optics Live. We've been having a heck of a time getting this stream going, but I think it's good. Thank you for being here, Andrew, and sticking with us here.
It's my pleasure. It's way more fun this way.
So we're going to jump right into...
We want to be paying attention for people on the podcast.
For those on the podcast, we'll kind of explain what's going on here. That was the very first time when our stream just died right at the beginning. This is your first stream ever, right, Tess?
Yep. You got to have audio on some of these. They're not going to understand any of it.
From it.
Kick off things in our brand new set. We want to do something a little different and fun. We want to spread some love to our subscribers. So something we're going to do from now on, we're going to pick up the last 10 subscribers to our YouTube channel and list them off. And hopefully by next week, I'm hoping we'll have a nice template up where you can see your face, our past 10 subscribers and names, and see who they are. So I'm going to go ahead real quick and read them.
For the podcast listeners and everyone out there, basically, Tess is a little nervous. She's trying to get through her.
Oh, this is the best
show.
one.
Now, is this your first show
Play
ever?
it.
Okay.
No, he's talking about the image.
Oh, flip the image.
Whoa.
This is when I almost set the studio on fire.
Literally,
Sparks
something. I just, to explain Tessa's face, just absolute shock right now. One of her first solo streams ever, and she's just shocked out of her mind because an electricity bolt just went off. A light bulb popped. This is your first ever live show.
This is my first ever solo live show.
And Tessa's
with
basically
Tom Sinclair. My audio did not work.
She's hearing herself in her headphones.
Double.
And
I eventually just ditched them.
Play a little audio clip from it when Tess ditches her microphone.
And I am already having issues, but thankfully I have a wonderful guest here with me, Tom Sinclair, who is going to help me out through all of this. You might notice my trusty main host, Paul, is not with us.
So I remember what happened for you there. Is that it?
Oh, this is the other one. You can't do this one without the audio.
All right, play it.
So we are about to start. Oh my God.
Oh, you called it?
Did you just catch what I did? That's
No,
when
I
I
missed
accidentally
it.
said
We're just gonna go by that.
SHART.
Yeah, that was when Tess said shart and got us in major trouble with Facebook and YouTube.
I don't think things have to be PG on Facebook and YouTube that much.
No, they don't have to, but they flag you a little bit.
They flag you a little bit.
They ask you for a manual review when they start hearing some of those words.
What can you do? But that's just kind of an idea of stuff happens.
Yeah,
no matter how long you've been doing this for. And it's just some fun.
Hi, Stuart. The lights go boom. I think a lot of people remember that moment.
Oh, it's time to do the giveaway.
It's time for the giveaway. All right, so... Oh, that's not it. All right, so let's do the giveaway. So we've got our desktop capture here. We'll go over to Gleam. And we'll do the giveaway. We got a spin to win. And we will spin to see who wins this week's live giveaway.
Hopefully what happened last week doesn't happen this week, and the winner is in the chat.
For those of you on the podcast, basically on our live show each week, we draw a winner, Gerald Soria. And he's from Monteca, California. And what we do is we basically, on StreamGeeks.us/giveaway, you can enter to win, and we spin a wheel, and somebody wins a free live streaming camera or other items. And while we're waiting for him, we do have a branding quote of the week. We'll roll through that. It should be somewhere in the middle there. There it is.
And now, the inspirational marketing quote of the week.
Whoopsies. All right, branding quote of the week. Growth and comfort do not coexist.
That's a good one.
Yeah, and this is for those of you out there considering starting a live show. You know, you can't succeed in live streaming unless you try it.
Yeah.
Get yourself out there, just do it, and take risks. We've done a lot of risks, as you can see on this list.
Yes.
And that's really brought us to, where we are right now.
If somehow you get a successful show without any risks or discomfort, I would love to hear about it, because everybody in the live streaming is always saying how something's going to go wrong.
And it does.
It does.
It's about how you act or behave when those things do go wrong.
Yeah. And it also reminds me of, growing pains, like even when you're a child and you're growing and you've got teeth or whatever. I mean, because I have 2 kids, that's what I'm thinking about. But anything that is a growth, there's going to be some discomfort. If you're too comfortable, then you're probably not doing it right.
Yeah. I think we can respin at this point.
All right, we're going to go ahead and I won't even go over there, but I'll just go ahead and hit the winner. Repick. Who do we got here? Our next winner is Joe Rice Jones.
Familiar name.
So the next thing we have here is a random tech fact of the week that we will go into today.
And now it's time for our random tech fact of the week.
So our random tech fact of the week has to do with streaming. Tomorrow we're probably going to do RTSP versus RTMP. And I'm giving away some secrets for tomorrow's Back to Basics show on PTZ Optics. But basically, a couple things. One thing that I can't explain about yet, but I did not know you can stream in 120 frames per second. It is possible. That's one thing I'm just throwing out there. I'm not going to say why or how I know that. The other thing is that with PTZ Optics cameras in particular, you can live stream in RTSP or RTMP. RTSP, real-time streaming protocol, is a very easy way to stream like point-to-point or one to a few. Real-time media protocol, RTMP, that allows you to stream to a server, a media server, and redistribute to thousands. And that's what really makes live streaming possible. So RTSP, RTMP, and with PTZ Optics in particular, when you're doing RTSP, you can stream, or RTMP, you can stream in H.264, H.265, which I was seeing some really great demonstrations of at the NAB New York National Association of Broadcasters show just a few weeks ago. They call it High Efficiency Video Codec, HEVC, H.265, and it really does look better than H.264 at the same bit rate. I was seeing that at the LiveView booth. And then finally, you can stream in MJPEG, which is totally uncompressed. And Mike Trout is here. So Mike, we're going to go ahead and spin the wheel for you.
Mike Trout is the winner. You are spinning the wheel this week. Congrats,
Here's the
Mike.
wheel, Tess. I'll bring that over.
That didn't take too long.
Here it is.
Yay.
And Tess is going to go ahead and spin that wheel.
All right. I liked how Mike did this last time. He held it down. That was smart.
Oh, that was good. One off from the free camera. Sunglasses. Tell me, wow, that was close.
Now, you might have some options because we are ordering new sunglasses right now too.
Good.
So you can either pick these with the blue sides, or I'm ordering all black ones.
Cool. All black with blue labels, so those will be
Or you
really
can always
nice.
pick a vMix mouse pad if you don't want sunglasses.
Yes.
Let me know, Mike. So close to the free camera.
That was close. It's always fun.
Yep, it is.
All right, last one is we do have a helpful tech tool of the week. And our helpful tech tool is, it's actually 22. There it is.
And now it's time for the super tool of the week.
So this is something cool I can show you on the overhead cam. We pulled kind of out of the...
Never played with this before. Not quite sure what this is.
But it's quite interesting. It's called the PC Cable Check Pro from Greenlee Communications.
Let's do one of these.
This product, you can see here, has 9-pin, 15-pin, 25-pin. These are
18 million pin.
18 million pin. But basically, what we're talking about here is, VGA, DB9, DVI, all of these. And then take a look at the side here. SDI, 8-pin mini DIN, Ethernet, USB 3, USB 2.
Wait. USB 3,
Yep.
USB 2,
USB,
micro USB.
Micro USB. I mean,
No
we're
idea what these
talking
are.
about like
So this is for
every
testing.
cable known to man.
Seeing if they work.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a nice thing to have.
Yep.
Rather than having to find, something to plug it into.
In fact, look, is there a guide on the bottom?
Holy, there's a whole other side.
There's a whole other side. So maybe it goes in one side and out the other. There's a guide
Very
on the
cool.
bottom. We don't actually use this, because we're not in the pro integration division or anything, but it's a cool little tool, and I could see a lot of you guys using that.
Yeah.
So something to, if you ever have cable issues, you know, you're looking for something that might be able to you know, help out in some way, that seems like a pretty cool tool.
Yes.
So the only other thing we